30 million. The wounds of war had to be healed. New times were in the making as Andrew Johnson ascended to the highest office.
When I sought to carry out Lincoln's policy of conciliation toward the defeated Confederacy and vetoed congressional bills which sought vengeance on the South, I was misunderstood. The lawmakers suspected my motives because I was a Southerner. And in 1868, the Congress sought to impeach me. The attempt failed by 1 vote. Though I was hated, there were some things which occurred during my term which would prove of great benefit to our nation. Alaska was purchased from Russia. The Atlantic cable joined North America and Europe. And America was to begin a long period of industrial growth under Ulysses S. Grant.
Men must do things that must be done. Sometimes one must fight it out on a line if it takes not only a summer, but many years. I had no great liking for politics, but I had a great love for my country. Hatred had to run its course. Troops had to control the South. But even though the carpetbaggers plundered, the country knew that I stood for reconciliation. I saw years of great expansion as railroads joined the nation from east to west out in Ogden, Utah. The West was rapidly being settled. Some perhaps prospered too much. But our nation on the whole prospered far more. Industries were built, cities grew, and rewarding years followed under Rutherford B. Hayes.
He serves his party best who serves his country best. Those words guided me during years of depression, civil service reform, and the withdrawal of troops from the South. I saw the southern states become truly a part of our nation again. I was denied a second term, but there were those who understood what I sought to accomplish. Among them, the man who succeeded me in office, James A. Garfield.
As the youngest brigadier general in the Army, I was the last of the so-called log cabin presidents. I served in Congress for 18 years before taking the highest office in the land. Just 4 months afterwards,
a shot fired by a disappointed office seeker in the Washington Railroad station was fatal to President Garfield. The tragedy shocked the nation into adopting civil service reforms during the term of Chester A. Arthur.
I was the 4th vice president to succeed to the office on the president's death. The old spoils system suffered the death blow with the passage of the Civil Service Reform Act. One of my major aims was to modernize our nation's naval power. The man who succeeded me kept faith with these reforms, Grover Cleveland.
A public office is a public trust. I would not compromise with corruption. And though I failed in my efforts for a second term, those who thought I was too uncompromising in 1888 decided 4 years later I had been right, thus making me the only man to be elected twice as president after being defeated between terms. I was the only president to be married in the White House. My successor was Benjamin Harrison.
America, to me, was good. Great lives never go out, they go on. And America's had many great men. In a way, families in America live on as well, to give their best in great places and small. My great-grandfather was the signer of the Declaration of Independence, and my grandfather had been the 9th president. My father was a member of Congress, and I had the honor to serve as my abilities allowed.
The next president was William McKinley.
As president, I constantly worked for peace. And yet it is odd that I should be remembered for holding office during the period of the Spanish-American War. I had refused to intervene in Cuba on the grounds of humanity, but the loss of the battleship Maine in Havana Harbor brought the conflict upon us. Remember the Maine. War meant fighting with determination, because duty determines destiny. After the conflict, I sought a sound gold currency and protective tariffs, which brought our nation prosperity.
America was moving up to a place of leadership in the world. The horse and buggy era, though in full swing, saw signs of the future as horseless carriages sputtered onto the national scene. Before a year of McKinley's second term in office, an assassin's bullet struck him down at the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo, New York. He was succeeded by Theodore Roosevelt.
I sought a square deal for all. Leading the Rough Riders of San Juan Hill in the Spanish-American War gave me the desire to bring the same type of vigorous effort to the presidency. My motto was speak softly and carry a big stick. Yes, they called me a trust buster, but I was not opposed to corporations and trusts. They were part of the American system of free enterprise. I was opposed to the powerful rich who bribed and cheated to gain their ends and acted in opposition to the public interest. I sought to show favor only to America and its priceless heritage. There were those who condemned my actions in South America, but Panama became a nation, and the construction of the Panama Canal was undertaken. The air age dawned with the Wright brothers' flight at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, in 1903. I groomed my successor to carry out my policies. William Howard Taft.
The great concern of my life was the law, not the presidency. As Roosevelt's successor, I strove to dissolve the dangerous oil and tobacco trusts. And, oh yes, it was during my term that the income tax came into being. New Mexico and Arizona entered the Union to make 48 states. When Roosevelt ran against me on the Bull Moose ticket in my bid for his second term, the vote was split, and the election went to Woodrow Wilson.
Now, will you please move into the next room where our presentation continues?